Hello, this is George Senda, the guy from Pittsburgh, and this is Donald Trump Talk. And I want to talk about war hysteria. Over the weekend, I looked through about 40 videos. The titles, some of them are ridiculous, many of them are irresponsible. We're going to have a nuclear war. We're going to be attacked. We're all doomed. We're going to be drafted. No war for oil. That was my favorite one. North Korea has no oil. North Korea has no oil reserves. We have 20 billion barrels in reserve. North Korea imports about 150,000 barrels a day from China. China just cut off North Korea's coal to try to put pressure on North Korea to behave. And the DMZ in North Korea, I just watched a video by two young South Korean men, one who will be stationed in the DMZ, and one who will be in Seoul if the ball goes up. They'll have to protect their country. Now, we have deployed the THAAD missile defense system. I don't know if it's hardened or not, but you don't have to nuke South Korea to cause chaos. You don't have to nuke Japan. And within a few years, you don't have to nuke the United States. All you have to do is launch a nuclear missile and set off an EMP pulse. So one thing you really should consider doing, get some galvanized trash cans. There's a site called the Survival Mom. It shows you how to build a Faraday cage and what equipment to put in it in case there is an EMP pulse. And one of the things they never show in post-apocalyptic movies is everybody goes to the stores and they're cleaned out. Nobody worries about pets. And the other thing, the thing that's going to be hit that they never show, probably because they don't want people showing how to get in there, is drugstores are going to be cleaned out, and particularly the pharmaceuticals, because that's where your antibiotics are going to be. And with the factories making them, and a lot of our pharmaceuticals get made in India now. If we do have an EMP event, no one's going to have any medication. So you need to get a stockpile of medication, extra contacts, glasses, an old laptop, computer, fill it full of music, get yourself a Kindle, fill it full of books like Gray's Anatomy and books on woodworking and other things, and shield all that against an EMP pulse so that if something does happen, and get yourself some solar chargers for batteries. Don't keep the batteries in the devices. Pack them separately. You want to wrap all your electronics in cloth and wrap them in at least, I'd say, 4 layers of heavy-duty aluminum foil, and you put cardboard in the trash can because you don't want to have any metal touching any of your electronics. It will short them out and they'll get fried. So the other thing is that North Korea, while not admitting it, has multiple stockpiles of chemical weapons, and they will use those probably on an attack on the South. You have a paranoid leader who thinks that everybody, South Korea, Japan, and the United States, are about to invade his country 24 hours a day. That's all this guy thinks about. That's why he's developed nukes. There's various figures, anywhere from 4 to 8 to 8 to 16 that they have, but the problem is they only have a second stage missile. It can reach Guam and hit our bases on Guam. North Korea has threatened to hit Japan with sarin gas. We've seen what that did in Syria. And this is why our fleet is out with the Carl Vinson, not the Gerald Ford. It's in commissioning trials, doesn't even have numbers on it yet. And why the Japanese self-defense force ships, and destroyers and other ships, are also with our fleet near North Korea. So you would have, there would not be a physical invasion probably of the South because the DMZ between North Korea and South Korea is so heavily fortified by both sides that you'd have to fight your way through that. Now, North Korea has built tunnels underground under the DMZ. Those have been found, but they'll probably have sleeper agents in the south to disrupt things as much as possible. And the other thing you could set off, you wouldn't even need a missile, is a dirty bomb in Seoul or other South Korean cities, which would cause havoc. And so we are now seeing that it's Sunday, April 16th, and no North Korean nuclear test occurred. They did have a big parade. They showed new submarine-based missiles. But the problem with many of these is they haven't been operationally tested, and no one really knows if they work. You can have a Potemkin Village missile that looks formidable, but it may not be able to get off the ground. And that's the thing with the North Koreans. They show all these things to bluster people and bully people, but how much of these things work, who knows? So don't believe a lot of the hype that we're going to war, that Trump is going to attack North Korea unilaterally at any given moment. He's working with the Chinese. Even the Russians have said they're concerned. If push comes to shove, Trump may attack their nuclear facilities. And also, South Korea has a third stage program that if they are attacked, they will take every missile and bomber and plane they've got and level Pyongyang, and anywhere that Kim, their leader, the North Korean leader, hides there will be destroyed. Their capital will cease to exist. And the other thing, there's not going to be hordes of refugees leaving North Korea into China. The Chinese have already said they will block any refugees from coming in, and they are very displeased with Kim for another reason, because they don't want nuclear radiation to pollute their western regions, because they're building industry and living quarters there. So that's another reason they're putting pressure on this nutcase to stop. But ultimately, something will have to be done, because as in 1939 with Hitler, we, for far too long, not only us, but other countries, have allowed people like this to get away with murder. They cross a line, they keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and nobody does anything about it. So you have appeasement, you have ignorance, you have ignoring the facts, you have, he won't do anything because he's doing it in the name of peace. That's another thing North Korea has said. They're doing it for peaceful purposes. Well, there's no such thing as a peaceful nuclear bomb. It's only used for one thing, and that's to attack other countries that have done nothing to that country. Oh yes, I forgot that his missiles could also reach the Philippines. So now in about 3 years, they may, and I use this in quotes, have the capability of having a missile that can hit Alaska. They would be unpopulated areas of Alaska, but it might be enough to set off an EMP pulse. So you need to protect yourself against that. You don't want to be anywhere near large things of metal in your home, because you can get affected by that. Human bodies and animals usually, and plants, don't get affected by EMP unless you're right on top of it. And the Survival Mom and other sites, including Standeo, tells you how to survive an EMP attack and how to prepare for one. That's my concern with this. We're not going to invade North Korea unless they invade the South. And I think, frankly, we outnumber them. And another thing, a lot of people know nothing about military capability, and we outnumber them in tanks, we outnumber them in ships, we outnumber them in aircraft. their tanks are inferior. A lot of them are old Russian tanks. They have one top-of-the-line tank, but the Abrams would eat it alive. And most of their Navy is patrol boats, a few submarines, one carrier, and auxiliary craft. The thing you have to worry about is their submarines, but probably our subs and anti-sub warfare will take those out in the event of a war. And so this is what would happen with that. It's far more likely they would launch a chemical attack against the South and an EMP attack against South Korean and American military forces, and try to knock out the defensive missile systems they have. And the other thing is that the North Koreans do have thousands of missiles that can go about 800 miles, but a lot of the launchers are not maintained very well. They're getting old. But if you launch 5,000 missiles in one area, some of them are never really going to get through. And that's the concern that you would have if you were in Seoul or in South Korea. Even our military has said we can't defend against every single missile that will come in, but we can shoot a hell of a lot of them down. So I wanted to make this video to tell people, don't believe all this war hysteria. North Korea is going to set up a bomb. Trump's going to engage in nuclear war and all of this. China would have things to lose economically if war breaks out. So would Russia. And the other problem is, as you can see in the video with the picture, Chinese components were put in these missiles, even though China said they were doing everything to stop North Korea. And there's about 7 countries that North Korea is selling their technology to and getting aid from, including Iran. So these people are exporting nuclear weapons to countries that either have them or want them. And so they're proliferating nuclear weapons. And this is another reason to try to stop this madman. But it's the madman who's the problem, not Donald Trump, as the left would have you believe. And the other thing today that I find absolutely ridiculous is the Women's March that marched in January is now marching today to demand that Trump show his tax returns. Here we have a world crisis that could plunge the Far East into war, and they're worried about a man's tax returns. And in Berkeley, California, they had to shut down the farmers market because pro-Trump supporters and anti-Trump supporters will show up at the Berkeley BART station and probably clash as it did the last time. And one Trump supporter, when heckled by a man about his American flag and his Trump hat, did what he felt was best. He punched the guy's lights out. So, to defend himself, and rightfully so. So that's that for this video. If someone has a G3 Mac keyboard and would like to loan it to me, and I use the word loan, and send it to my mailing address, send me an email, falky2013@gmail.com, and I will return it to you, because I will not have a new keyboard for a couple weeks, and I don't have the time today to go disassemble my keyboard and dry it out. I have to start getting stuff in here in order for my inspection. Okay, this is George Send, the guy from Pittsburgh. Unless I can get a keyboard, there will be no live video between now and I get a keyboard. So you'll have to watch pre-recorded videos. Have a great day and stay safe out there. Bye-bye for now.